Good to be back. We had a good break. I think it was a good time for our team to step back and get a little bit of rest and come back and get ready to play against the Raiders, who are a heck of a football team. We saw that yesterday, as we have on the games that are on our breakdown. So again, we look forward to the challenge of playing them and in particular out there. So anyways, with that, time's yours.
Go first to Bob Fesco. Go ahead, Bob.
Hey, Coach, based on the fact that they gave you your only loss on the season, how much of revenge is at stake in this game for you guys against the Raiders?
Yeah, listen, I think it's two good football teams playing each other. I don't think probably either team likes each other that much, as they stated before. So, we get ourselves ready to play against a good football team. I think that's most important.
Let's go next to Adam Teicher. Go ahead, Adam.
Hey, Andy, that win seemed to mean a lot to the Raiders the last time around a few weeks ago. I mean, they did a victory lap around the stadium in their buses afterwards, if that's any indication. Do you feel like you guys matched their emotions that day? Do you feel like maybe you guys need to do a little better job of that this time around? And Brad, I'll have one quick follow-up.
Well, they listen, they won the game, so they can do anything they want to do. They end up winning the game. That's not our style, but we'll get ourselves back, ready to play, and that's where we're at.
And last year, you ended up beating two teams in the playoffs who had beaten you during the regular season. Was that just a case of X's and O's? You guys did a better job and your guys executed better? Or do you felt like you were better in the moment? Maybe your team was better in the moment that day, if that makes any sense emotionally. That makes sense.
Listen, I think there's a lot of parity in this league, and when two good football teams play each other, sometimes, somebody wins, obviously, but normally. So, we came up on the short end of the stick, so we've got to do a better job. They played a good football game against us.
Go next to Aaron Ladd. Go ahead, Aaron.
Coach, there was a report that came out over the bye week just about a union rep possibly being in the facility and some of that. My question is, as we continue to get deeper into the season, I mean, cases are continuing to rise, not only in Kansas City, but it seems like around the country. Is it getting harder to handle these virus protocols in-house?
Well, I keep it simple. I mean, I look at what our doctors are doing throughout the country, and they are keeping themselves relatively free of COVID. So, and I think they do it by wearing a mask and always, and then social distancing the best they possibly can, and then washing their hands and doing that. So we've tried to hammer that point home to our guys. And when you're in this building, then that's what you need to be doing. So not that you can't talk to each other, just don't spend a lot of time doing it. So without separating, and then you can come back later, but keep your distance the best you can.
Go next to Herbie Teope. Go ahead, Herbie.
Hey, good afternoon, Coach. On the player personnel side of the house, Taco Charlton tweeted last week that he fractured his ankle. When do you anticipate him moving officially to injured reserve? And then as a second part to this, L'Jarius Sneed, what do you hope to see out of him this week?
Who was the first one? I missed that.
Taco Charlton. He tweeted last week he fractured his ankle.
Yeah, so I'll get that to you when we put out whatever we're going to put out there. But he did hurt it and he did fracture it. So we'll see, what we do from that point. And the other one was
L'Jarius Sneed.
Yeah, so he'll be back and working with us this week, and we'll just see how he does.
Let's go next to Seren Petro. Go ahead, Seren.
Coach, kind of along the lines of what Adam was talking about, there's a lot of studies, the analytics group, about when you play a team twice, right? And I know you've done it, obviously, your whole career. Is there an advantage for the team that loses from the standpoint that the team that wins almost is kind of a slave to what worked last time? Like, you're going to be thought of as a fool. If somebody pounded and ran for 250, they got to try to establish the run first because that's what worked. And why wouldn't you do what already worked? Whereas you're kind of freer when you didn't get the win to explore more possibilities and maybe make more adjustments and changes than you would had you gotten the first win. I'm just curious if you've given that any thought over the years, or if you have any mindset to that.
Well, I haven't. I think they have, or they wouldn't have driven the bus around the stadium. So, but that, we don't. We just try to get ourselves ready for that team. It doesn't matter if you play them once, twice. We just get ready to play them the best we possibly can.
Go next to Nate Taylor. Go ahead, Nate.
Andy, good to see you. Wanted to ask you about red zone creativity. You guys have sort of made that a theme this year. From your vantage point, given how long you've been, doing play designs, just what is most fun about the process when you're in a short yardage situation or in the red zone and you're trying to create an advantage schematically?
Yeah, so we're always trying to get better in all these phases, Nate. I mean, and that's the situational football is such a big part of the game, obviously. So, and how you do in these areas, red zone being a pretty important place. So, we're always looking to bring in new ideas and so that's where we're at. I mean, some of the things we've dialed up this year have worked maybe better than in past years, but we've got to keep going in that area. We can always be better in the red zone.
Go next to Pete Sweeney. Go ahead, Pete.
Good afternoon, Coach. With Nick Allegretti started the last 3 games, has he shown you enough to maybe be in that top 5? And what are some of the things that you've liked that you've seen from him? And kind of considering that Schwartz could be back in the mix, is he good enough to remain there?
Yeah, he's done a nice job. So I would tell you it's been great for him. It's been great for our football team right now. So, and he does it with a lot of energy, which we appreciate. He's got a great attitude about him, brings great energy to that group. He's always hustling. He's got that wrestler mentality that is his background. So, and we'll just see. We'll see how things go down the road. But as you know, you can't have enough good ones. And he's proved that he can get in there and play.
Go next to Sam Mellinger. Go ahead, Sam.
Hey, Andy. There were some questions about how you guys would react after winning the Super Bowl, right? Complacency and all this. And is there anything, I know you love the locker room. You have a strong group of guys. Is there anything besides that that's let you guys maintain this focus? And I'm also curious how that challenge, I don't know if it gets greater or smaller, but just how it shifts the second half of a season.
Yeah, well, I think it's especially where the bye sits here and kind of divides your season for you. But it's important that you get back when the guys get back in here, that they get back in here with the same purpose, and coaches likewise, that you don't pull off on the work. And so if there's one thing that the guys have done is they've maintained that, not only players but coaches, and that ends up, I think, being important. Nobody's pointed fingers. Not everything goes right offensively, defensively, or special teams, but guys just jump in and say, listen, let's try to figure this out. And if one side's down, let's get the other side. You pick it up and let's go. And so that's how they've been. It is a bit like last year that way, at least the latter half of the year. But at the same time, you have to stay on top of that part and keep that same attitude. And I have no question the guys will do that, but you have to do that. Yes.
Go next to Matt Derrick. Good, Matt.
Hey, Coach, you've always talked about the importance of the players and your coaches getting some time off and charging back up during the bye week. But how important is it to you? I mean, do you come back from the bye weeks recharged, or how did you spend your time? Did you just continue to work on football all the way through it? And for you, it's just you got to grind your way through.
Well, I stayed in town, so I was free game to my wife grinding me in the work force at the house. So I had a lot of honeydews. But I took a little time off. Yeah. I worked a couple of days and then probably a little bit more than a couple of days, but then it took some time off.
Got time for a couple more. We'll go Sam and then Lynn. Go ahead, Sam.
Hey, Andy. Wanted to ask you about McCole. Obviously, he was on the COVID list last week, and I understand that there's multiple ways to be on there. So I wanted to first ask, was that a positive test or an exposure to somebody positive? And then also, what do you anticipate for his availability this week?
Yeah, So yeah, I don't know what I can get into and can't get into on that, but he is on the list. He's got to wait here his days, and right now he's feeling good, which is a good thing. But yes, he's on that list. Sam, I'm not sure exactly what I can tell you other than he's on the list, and he's feeling good right now.
Let's go next to Len Jennings. Go ahead, Len.
Hey, Coach, off Nate's question about red zone creativity, Patrick came to you about Ferrari right. And how unique is that when a quarterback is designing plays coming to you? And even Tyreek said that you're rubbing off on Patrick, kind of that how much trust is involved in creativity with a quarterback, and how unique is it when the quarterback's coming to you, and how many more plays is there that he's bringing to you to put in the playbook?
Yeah, so far that's one now he's had ideas. We've used other players' ideas, and I'm free game. If you've got a good one, let's go. I mean, if you've got one, bring it on. We'll take it. So I'm easy that way. If they look good, we'll try it on and see how it works. But I think it's healthy. I think it's healthy for guys they're thinking football, which is important, and you hope that your guys are in that frame of mind to do that.